approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things. Sometimes the road is smooth. Other times it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, what a ride. High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
This season on The Muse.
Retinue.
We walked the halls of creativity.
People always judge by appearances.
Traveled through books.
As I pay for my pounded yam and for riro with goat meat stew and one king size ogufe, now to chop the food remain.
We made art.
What? Oh my God!
And danced with the muses.
Oh, this here ends with EY.
Catch new episodes of The Muse on High Impact Television. Securing the future.
Welcome to the high side of life. Join us every day at High Impact 102.1 FM, your urban lifestyle station.
I just want to be here.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things. Sometimes the road is smooth. Other times it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, what a ride. High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
High Impact Radio 102.1 FM. The future is now.
Well, if you just joined us, it's the Breakfast Cafe right here on High Impact TV. My girl Sarah and I are in the house. I'm Vivian Oguche. Always a pleasure to have you join us. So this is the second part of the newspaper review where we get to really dissect the issues. You know, Sarah had said it was interesting earlier on when we talked about a committee being set up to ensure that, you know, there's an implementation of one of the reforms that this administration embarked upon. I'm trying to lay my fingers on one of them, the particular implementation they're talking about. But now, this is it. It was in the papers yesterday that ASU gives the federal government 21-day strike notice over alleged refusal to implement agreements.
You see, this conversation, ASU and federal government, is like a kind of, every time we talk about it, it's always like we're going round in circles. What I mean is, most times when ASU places their demands and they go back and forth, sometimes embark on industrial action and all of that, and they have a meeting with the federal government, they sign memorandum of understanding. Shortly after, they always come back to say, okay, federal government is not playing their part, and that's a big problem, because it means that there's something wrong somewhere. If you keep assuring these people that you do these things, and they always have to come back and go back to the drawing board because you're not reaching your own side of the agreement, it's a problem. I know they talked about the federal government and ASU agreement of 2009 to look into it and change it, rehabilitation and revitalization of the educational sector, payment of salary arrears, to mention a few things. These are not things that are hard to do, if we're going to be honest. Just in 2022, there was an 8-month-old strike. Was it 2022 or last year? I think it was 2022. 8-month-old strike that made I was a victim of that strike because I was running a program in one of the federal universities, and it was so disturbing because it affected the whole calendar. So imagine they have to do the same thing again just because one party is not reaching their own side of the agreement.
It doesn't speak well of the federal government. And that story I was talking about earlier on was on the front page of the Punch, where Akume and Edu lead local government autonomy implementation panel. Right, so this should be replicated as well on all other matters that need an implementation panel. Maybe when it comes to the issue of ASU and the agreement it has with the federal government. Let's also continue to take a look at this other one here, which is major right now. NNPC reporting 9.3 trillion naira petrol imports as queues linger. Now, just yesterday, Olumide and I were talking about it, where NNPC was posting profits, right? Huge profits. And now it's talking about an increment in the amount they spend on petrol imports, which begs the question, what is happening with Nigeria's local refineries?
I think we already have answers to that. There's been several postponements, even in regards to the opening of just one of those refineries, which is Port Harcourt. And when this administration came into office, they first talked about December, which was last year, that it was going to start running. And nothing was done in that regard. And every day we keep hearing, we're moving the dates, it will run. And I feel like if we're going to pay more attention to that, we would have done that a long time ago, and it would have reduced the amount of imports we are spending on getting petrol and all of that petroleum products. But where are we going to, how do I put this? This conversation about refinery is not a conversation that just started today. And I think they moved it to January, if I'm correct.
Well, I know about the Dangote refinery. September is the takeoff date.
I think for the Port Harcourt, I think it was moved to January. And there's really, as much as we keep talking about it over and over again, is that just our hands are tied, and only those that ability at that level can handle this. But we see that you're trying to call us. Do well to call us back, 0812 182 015, or do well to try again. Definitely take your calls this morning. You know, so that's refinery conversation. I was telling Olumide yesterday, we're just having a conversation. I am at that point where until I see the refinery running, I have no words.
Wow. All right. So which of these other story catches your fancy, Sarah?
This headline, I would just like to go into the details. talking about the allegation against Joe Ajaero, terrorism financing, on the Punch newspaper, where the NLC mobilizes for nationwide strike over his invitation. I'll just take a brief read of that story. Now, following the ongoing face-off between the NLC and the Nigeria Police, the leadership of the NLC has asked its members to be ready to commence a nationwide strike, if need be, by midnight. Now, the Labour said in a communique issued after its emergency National Executive Council in Abuja that directed all state chapters and affiliates to mobilize workers for an indefinite strike if anything happened to the NLC president, who was invited by police for questioning over terrorism financing allegations. Now, the police invitation comes weeks after policemen conducted a night raid on the NLC secretariat in Abuja. According to the IGP, that's the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, while he was justifying the raid, he said the police were on the trail of one of the terrorists who masterminded the crisis in Sudan. They said there's no smoke without fire. So would we say that this is going to bring out probably the possible? Do we say we might see the possibility of an outcome that we never saw coming?
This is $1 billion question, and what is very interesting is, out of what you just said, is there is no smoke without fire, right? So really, this is a case I'm very, very interested in. I intend to stay on it until the very end, so we'll keep our fingers crossed to see how it plays out. But there's this other story on the front page of the Vanguard. It says, police again failed to arraign protesters.
That was the story I just went straight to now.
So you see, we are in sync. We are on the same wavelength. And this is coming from Adeyonju. These guys must be arraigned. Don't just keep people incarcerated indefinitely without any legality, right? They must be arraigned. What do you think, Sarah? Absolutely.
I think we have that major challenge in Nigeria. If you go back to it, the NSAS protest that took place in 2020, October 20th, there are still some persons that are behind bars. They've not been arraigned. It has not been taken to court. Nothing. They are just there. So that's why I was asking, I'm trying to remember the guest we were having a conversation with, and I asked, how then do you, for people that, you know, how do people justify, for example, I'm caught up in the situation and I don't really have a hand in it, or I'm just an innocent
bystander.
How do we justify cases like that? Because our system, we operate a system that stalls proceedings, stalls hearings, so people can be there for years. Now, this protest kicked off on the 1st of August. Today is the 21st of August. That's about 20 days, let's say 3 weeks after. They have not been arraigned. They are just kept there. Why? What is the reason? It was supposed to hold on Monday. It was moved to yesterday. And again, it didn't hold. Why do we just keep these people without, let's hear the case, whatever it is, let us hear it and move on from that, rather than just holding people down, you know, for weeks.
Yeah, I agree. Just like you said, let's hear the case. If they are guilty, then we know they are guilty. Then they should be, you know, prosecuted. If they are not, they should be let go.
Guilty over what exactly? That's the question.
That's the thing.
Guilty over. So if you say they're guilty, okay, were they caught destroying public government property? Were they caught causing havoc? Or they were just protesting peacefully? So if they were protesting peacefully, why are they being held?
You know, you remember during the protest, you had some Nigerians, allegedly Nigerians, who were waving the flag of another country in Nigeria.
That's an act that should not be accepted.
Yes, these are some of the people that were arrested. I remember a tailor who was also putting these flags together, the Russian flags together for people to wave during the protest, was also arrested in the north central part of the country.
But from the details of this story, we can see that it's talking about how the Nigerian government has failed to arraign 3 activists who were involved in the protest. Their names are listed here, and this is despite holding them in detention for 2 weeks. CSOs have accused the federal government of playing game of suppression on the protesters. So this is even away from those that were waving the flag of another country. That is an act that is treasonable, you know. But for these protesters, those that are activists, why are you just keeping them in detention? Why? For what reason? What is the reason why you have not been able to arraign them for the past 3 weeks?
It's true. This is something, you know, this thing, our president used to be an activist himself. I mean, the days of Nadeko and all of that, you know, so you would think he would know how to handle issues like this. But the thing is, this is not just about the president. In Nigeria, you have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, yeah, Sarah? So if you're pointing fingers, it should be at these 3 tiers of government, which should come together to ensure that we have a civil society.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and according to reports, now they have said they would arraign them this week, this Friday, which is in 2 days' time. So we hope that it is not moved. Report also has it that they don't want to arraign the protesters because they know that protesting is not a crime, and the police just want to perpetually keep the protesters in custody unjustly.
Now, this is coming from a particular stakeholder, right?
Yes. Now, the Vanguard also has it that the police have refused to disclose the charges against the protesters. This is from Adeyanju,
who is an activist himself. Yes.
He is one of the, how do I tag him now? He's one of the lawyers of the End Bad Governance protesters. He has said the police have refused to disclose the charge against the protesters, saying that they don't know what, like they've not told them what exactly they're charging them for.
Yeah, so where is Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, in this? I remember prior to the protest, he was one of the lawyers, legal practitioners that the police was consulting with as to what to do and what not to do. I expect him to speak up regards the continued arraignment of the activists.
But maybe we've not just gotten that major updates from him yet, but I don't think he's silent on this. And it's important to know that over 1,400 protesters are still in police custody.
But you know, when Femi Falana speaks, when he shouts, it's all over the papers. When he talks and he wants to be heard, there is no question about it, right? So we do hope that these people eventually are arraigned and this matter is brought to a logical conclusion. I will continue to take a look at the front pages of the newspapers. This time around, I'm thinking let's go back to this story we talked about earlier on about 43, beg your pardon, dying of food poisoning in 2 weeks. I remember 2 weeks ago, you and I were right here on this particular show where we talked about a whole family that was wiped out in Kwara State because they ate amala.
And I shared my experience that day.
You did?
You know, a similar situation. But just like we said earlier, we have to be very careful out there. Food poisoning, a lot of people have a misinterpretation of it. When somebody doesn't like you and the person takes poison and puts it in your food, that's not the only kind of food. But there's an unintentional form of food poisoning where you eat bad food, contaminated food, expired food, food that is not properly cooked, you know. So these are also ways that you know, can get food poisoning. So you need to understand that and be more careful, especially if you are buying food outside. Watch your environment, watch where you buy food from. You know, when you buy canned food or what have you, make sure you check for the expiry date, the manufacturing date, NAFDAC number. You know, that's if it's a product that was made in Nigeria. You need to vet all those things. But before we take a break, this story about politics 2023, APC kicks as PDP backs call for Jonathan's return. Are we seeing some sort of heat brewing up already for 2027?
Well, if there is a section of the PDP that's calling for the return of former President Jonathan, I think we should gear up for some internal politicking, because a former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, has this lifelong dream of becoming a president of the nation. So what happens to Atiku if Jonathan
comes? I think that both of them are on the same party. Now, a brief read. The opposition People's Democratic Party has thrown its weight behind the call for former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to join the presidential race for 2027. Now, in the past few weeks, there has been a growing rumor that northern elites and politicians are not happy with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration and are certainly yearning for a change of government in the next election. Now, 4 days ago, Bauchi State Governor, in person of Senator Bala Mohammed, also lent his voice to the agitation, vowing to jettison his presidential ambition if Jonathan agrees to contest. So it's important to know that the Bauchi State Governor also has a presidential ambition and is ready to let it go only if former president agrees to, contest. Now, Bala Mohammed gave his blessing to Jonathan at an event organized in Abuja. According to him, former President Jonathan has the requisite experience to revamp the economy and will do a good job if given a second mandate to manage the country.
Oh Lord, to think fingers crossed, to think that when former President Jonathan was the man at the helms, there was nothing people did not say to him, that he was a sheep and not a lion.
And now they want him back.
They want him back. But the thing is, Jonathan might not even be the one that is stoking this flame, because when it's it's this electoral cycle. You have groups who begin to come up with, let's have this person come back. It's politics. In fact, there were rumors that former governor of Kano State, Ganduje, was going to, contest the 2027 presidency. But Ganduje specifically came out to say, no, I'm not interested. It's just a rumor.
I just hope defections will come up.
Absolutely.
We'll see people defect, because I'm trying to imagine a situation where some faction or a faction of the PDP is against former President Goodluck Jonathan. A faction is is in support of Jonathan. A faction is in support of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And then you have to get one person. Are we looking at the possibility of a vice and a president? We can't say. We'll just see what comes out of it. We'll take a break now. When we're back, we would go into another segment, and it's important to apologize that we could not have our guest join us to analyze the papers, but thank you for sticking with us anyways. Do not go anywhere. The Breakfast Cafe continues after this.
Bad production can kill a great content idea.
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high
and out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios, the future.
Something big is in town. Something powerful and majestic. A mammoth creation destined to become a legend by all who encounter it. High Impact Planet, Nigeria's biggest family theme park, with facilities designed for friends, families, or large groups under a relaxing atmosphere. Be welcomed by wowing displays of animatronics, thrill out with realistic arcade games, or enjoy a number of thrilling heart-racing park rides. Experience the 5D and 12D cinemas and challenge your mates with bumper cars and go-kart races. Don't forget to slide into the ice rink or simply take time out to enjoy a pizza at our delightful restaurant and dessert spot, or at the exquisite club lounge. High Impact Planet, 12 Lagos Ibadan Expressway, Ibafo, opposite MFM Prayer City. Visit high-impactplanet.com for details and inquiries. Fun just got real.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Cafe on High Impact Television. If you just joined us, you've missed 1 hour of the show already, but not to worry. We got you covered for the next 50 minutes. We're moving into another segment of the show, which is called Our Views from the Net. What we do is we throw out a question and we get your comment, your contribution, as well as your call. And the interesting and beautiful part of this is you can call us right now to drop your comment on the question. The number to call will be displayed on your screen, 0812-182-0154. Do well to call us and be a part of the conversation. Now, the question for today, very funny one, I must say. You won 50 million naira and your best friend needs an eye surgery which cost 48 million naira. What would you do? Vivian, straight up to you. You won 50 million naira and you have a best friend, you've been friends for the longest period of your life, and the person needs a surgery which will cost 48 million naira. What are you going to do?
I'll do the best I can. Probably give like 20 million.
That's so kind.
20 million.
You should have best friends with Vivian.
But definitely not the whole 48 million. No, jeez.
So what if your friend is unable to get the balance?
The friend would definitely be able to get the balance. I mean, I would do what I want to do so that I can give cheerfully, not grudgingly.
Not grudgingly. So it's the one that comes from your mind. Come and be best friends with Vivian. Vivian will give you 20 million out of 50 million. You know. But let's move on. Let's take the comment very quickly. This is Imole from Badagry. Imole says, this question go far, really far. With the current situation of this country, shame me that I'm already thinking about to take my family out of poverty with the money. That kind of opportunity is 1 in a million. God Kukuma knows I don't keep best friends. They are showing me shege, so I refuse to keep any. The money is mine and mine alone. Peace. Imole, you don't even say, even if it's 10%. Or even if it's 1 million or 2 million, just say you don't have best friend.
Yeah, he said something. He said his best friends have showed him shaggy.
Yes, now.
So he doesn't even keep them.
What's shaggy? One way or the other. So thank you for your comment, Imole.
I got Zainab from Kogi. Zainab says that while I value our friendship, I believe that personal responsibility and self-reliance are essential. My friends should have prioritized their health and savings. I would invest 45 million in my own business ventures, creating jobs and opportunities for others, and help her with 5 million. I have tried. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to comment on a particular line. My friends should have prioritized their health and savings, according to Zainab. But I also like to draw Zainab's attention to the fact that cases like this most times just comes up.
There are emergencies.
You imagine you are in the same category with your friend. 48 million naira is a lot of money. So it's not as though your friend will not have any saving at all. Your friend probably has maybe 2 million or 3 million saved. We see these things happen where people call out for funds. Some people set up GoFundMe, reach out to family and friends. So it's not as though your friend did not prioritize their health or savings. I need to clarify that. It's just one of those things where 48 million is a lot of money.
And you know how you got this 48 million? You won it.
So it's not as if you also had the money. The person is your best friend. So I want to believe that people are probably in the same category, age-wise, finance-wise, you know. So you know that you are, if not for the fact that you won that money, it wasn't your savings. So you need to also put that out there.
Absolutely.
Right, but let's move on very quickly. Kayode from Unila. Kayode says, friendship is about being there for each other in times of need. I would use the 50 million to cover my friend's surgery.
Wow.
And support their recovery without hesitation. Their well-being is private. Why does Kayode you're lying?
Sir, you can't say that.
Kayode, come and call us and tell us. You use the 50 million. Maybe Kayode is very okay. Maybe Kayode has more than the 50 million.
Or maybe not. There are some people who are just generous.
Okay.
Yes.
I like that. People are generous like Vivian. Even Vivian that is generous says she will drop 20 million. Kayode is willing to drop the whole 50 million.
Okay, now that you keep hammering that Vivian that is saying she will drop 20 million is generous, Sarah, the ball is in your court. What will you do?
I will assist my friend, but I cannot drop 50 million.
How much will you drop?
I can go as high as 10 million.
So you're generous. Guys, come be friends with Sarah.
Honestly, I can go as high as 10 million naira, you know, for my friend because person is my friend.
Yeah.
But I have to also note that, first off, yes, I want the money. To put it out there, we see that you're trying to call us. I think there's, because of the weather, there's a sort of network glitch. Please.
So we apologize. Yes.
Yes, 0812-182-0154. I understand that I want the money. It wasn't my savings. Maybe a sort of lottery or something, and I want the money. Yes, I agree. But as much as I want the money, I also need to think about the fact that I have family.
Yeah.
I have things that I've probably been struggling to get money to do.
Yeah.
Now, note that my friend is not the only friend that I have. I'm not like Imole. I don't have a lot of friends, but I have friends that are very dear to my heart that I would. And that might not be the only friend that is in need.
But this is your best friend.
Right. That's how I would give the person 10 million naira.
Okay.
And my other friends can do 1 million, 2 million, you know. By the time I start to share the money safe, what will be left?
But the thing is, the priority is on this friend, because this friend has an emergency at heart.
Yes,
surgery.
I would.
You consider that?
I would do my best.
Yeah.
And I also help my friend, you know, source for the. But here's the thing. Now, because I know how important this is, if I give my friend 10 million and I see that the day is drawing near for the surgery and the friend hasn't gotten the, because of my kind of person,
you just,
I may be moved to add another 10, you know, but I wouldn't say that I would give out the whole. I can't give out the whole 50 million.
No, I don't see myself doing that. I don't even see myself doing that.
I will not.
Well, we have Kemi. I've got Kemi from Lagos. Kemi says, empathy and compassion drive me. I would use 40 million out of the money to pay for my friend's surgery, ensuring they receive the best care possible. Their health and happiness are my priority. Very good, Kemi. So, Sarah, if Kemi can do this, I think Kayode can do what Kayode said he was going to do, the whole 48 million.
Don't you hear Kemi, Kayode, KK? I'm rooting for you guys. Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. We should link up and be friends. You know? Right, but let's move on. This is Queen. Queen, we love you. Thank you so much for always. This is Queen from Great Yabatek. I believe in personal responsibility. My friends should have invested in health insurance or saved for their own medical needs. I'd keep the 45 million for myself. I want to believe that Queen will give her friend 5 million for her to say, I'd keep 45 million for myself. At least I have tried. The family should also seek or look for ways in which they can raise money, as I have my own needs and families to cater to. I can't just use all that money on my so-called best friend.
So-called?
And my family is there. It's not done. So-called best friend. Okay. Okay.
That's all. You don't have anything else to say?
No. Nah.
Sarah, please. Well, I've got Jide from Yabatek, and Jide said, friendship is about being there for each other in times of need. I would use 35 million to cover my friend's surgery and support their recovery without hesitation. Their well-being is priceless. At least I don't know tomorrow if he's the one that will help me when I'm also in need. Karma exists, so you don't leave people when you see them in one problem or the other, because they will surely rise again. And when they do, what face will be used to see the kind of person you are? Jide from Yabatek. What Jide just said is very true, though.
As much as it's true, I also feel like there's a subtle form of blackmail there.
How?
There's a subtle form of emotional blackmail.
How do you mean?
Karma is real. You don't leave people. I'm not leaving you. Now let's flip the coin a bit. I didn't win the money, but you still need an eye surgery. Would we raise the money or not? The good thing is now that I won the money, right? If you're my best friend, so you'd understand that I also have needs. And you'd appreciate the fact that I'm willing to give you even more than 10% of the money. Let's even assume, okay, I agree to give you 20 million, which means 28 million. So because I'm unable to give you the whole 48 million, you'd crucify me?
No, no way, no.
Now he's saying it that when he rises again, what sort of eye would they used to see you, the kind of person that you are?
Well,
there's a sort of form of emotional blackmail there, because we as friends, we also need to understand that we have limits. Even if this person is your best friend, you need to understand that the person is human and the person has limits. The person can try their best, but the person will not kill themselves for you.
In fact, Jide said he will do 35 million, which is it's not bad.
35 million out of 50 million, that means Jide will be left with 15 million.
That's not bad. No, but I get the gist of the matter here. Jide is saying one good turn deserves another.
Absolutely. But do not go with the mindset that if you do this for your best friend will do the same for you. I need to put that out there.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't always happen.
The fact that you don't expect that, okay, because I made this sacrifice, if I'm in need, fine, a best friend that loves you will definitely come true for you. But if the person doesn't come true for you, you shouldn't hold on to the fact that, but when you were in need, I did this for you.
Yeah, no, that shouldn't be the basis.
Transactional.
In fact, there's a word you used. You said sacrifice. You know what a sacrifice is? You're not expecting anything.
You're doing it because you want to do it. But the moment you start expecting that, okay, when I do this, if I need 100 million naira tomorrow, my friend will go and look for, I'm sorry.
I think you got Josephine, right?
Yes, this is Josephine from Scotland, and Josephine says, I beg, oh. I like that intro. Nobody should put me in a tight corner. I'm human too, and I have needs. I can only loan my best friend's family a portion of the bill and dash them a token that I know I cannot take back. That's all. To be more practical, I can loan the family 10 million and maybe dash my best friend 5 million as my own token of contribution. I don't think anyone will say I did not try by doing so. You know, I was just going to say that another option is you can actually loan the money. Now, this is what I mean. I'm giving you 10 million naira. That's my contribution. I want to dash you 10 million. However, if time is passing and you need to do this surgery and the money has not been raised, and I still have like 25 million that I can spare, I want to believe that you also have rallied around to raise some money, and I still have like 25 million that I can spare, I can actually lend you the money. We'll have that understanding that, you know what, I can lend you this money. At least let the process be done first, so that I can also have money to cater. But just know that you might not get the money anytime soon.
No, but this makes a lot of sense. You can loan the money and then the payback might be something that will suit both parties, you know, maybe instrumentally. Yeah, something that works. This is a great idea. Thank you, Josephine. But I got Omobolanle from Egbeda. She says, I'll give her 40 million. Okay, so Omobolanle already knows her best friend is a girl. So he says, I'll give her 40 million. She should have a family now. I have tried for her, and other family members should help her get the money. That's very generous.
In fact, you have over-tried.
Yeah.
Out of 48 million, you have given 40 million. So she's left with 8 million. You are left with 10 million. You have really tried, Omobolanle.
Yeah.
We must put that out there. But this is, the next comment is Adebowale from Ikorodu. And he starts with, the exclamation is very serious. I'll give him 10 million.
Why are you laughing, Sarah?
Oh, sorry. I will give him 10 million to remove the eye. I will spend the money on my own problems and take good care of my family.
He's giving 10 million to remove the eye.
And then we spend the money on my own problems and take good care of I'm sorry, Adebowale.
Yeah, but he's just being real though.
10 million to take out the eye.
The eye.
So would you be happy to see your best friend maybe with one eye?
To remove the eye.
Alright, I think we have one more comment.
Yeah, one more. Chidi from Lagos says, as much as I care about my friend's well-being, I believe that systemic change can benefit more people. I would use the 50 million to fund my own political campaign addressing healthcare accessibility and affordability for all Nigerians. Chidi from Lagos. While your friend is waiting for an emergency.
It might be 4 years before your own political, because you say you first fund your political campaign to address healthcare accessibility. That's not something that will happen today, tomorrow, next year. Except you probably want to run first for local government, where you can first develop the healthcare facility in your local government. But come on, Chidi.
Yeah, but so what happened to the emergency procedure that your friend...
Chidi, even if it's 1 million, drop it for your best friend. Haba. Chidi, come on. But I think those are all the comments. we know you've been trying to call. We've gotten feedback that you have been trying to call us. But I don't understand the network. Especially even when it doesn't rain, network is not so great. When it now rains, between network and, well, I think electricity supply is getting better when it rains now. All through the period it was raining yesterday, they didn't take our light. We had national grid throughout. It was a strange thing. Some months or years back, once the weather changes like this, you don't even think of seeing light, power supply anywhere. But it's getting better. I think network has taken the position now. Once it rains, network just disappears. But not to worry, if you could not call us this morning, you will definitely be able to join us again tomorrow for another segment on Views from the Net. The show has not ended. We're going to take a break. We'll be back to discuss something very, very important that would interest you. We'll be right back.
Upbraid, upbraid, upbraid.
is in town. Something powerful and majestic. A mammoth creation destined to become a legend by all who encounter it. High Impact Planet, Nigeria's biggest family theme park, with facilities designed for friends, families, or large groups under a relaxing atmosphere. Be welcomed by wowing displays of animatronics, thrill out with realistic arcade games, or enjoy a number of thrilling heart-racing park rides. Experience the 5D and 12D cinemas and challenge your mates with bumper cars and go-kart races. Don't forget to slide into the ice rink or simply take time out to enjoy a pizza at our delightful restaurant and dessert spot, or at the exquisite club lounge. High Impact Planet, 12 Lagos Ibadan Expressway, Ibafo, opposite MFM Prayer City. Visit high-impactplanet.com for details and inquiries. Fun just got real.
On the Muse.
Retinue.
We walked the halls of creativity.
You know, people always judge by appearances.
Traveled through books.
As I pay for my pounded yam and foriro with goat meat stew and one king size ogufe, now to chop the food remain.
We made art.
What?
And danced with the muses.
Oh, this here ends with EY.
Catch new episodes of The Muse on High Impact Television. Securing the future.
Welcome back, and if you just joined us, this is a Breakfast Cafe right here on High Impact TV. Now, this segment is where we get to talk about topical issue. Now, topical because it's what matters, it's what is on the front burner. Some days ago, Olumide and I were here on this platform, and it was a question we had put on the net. We had so many contributions. We asked, which is the worst form of abuse?
I think that was yesterday.
That was yesterday, yeah. Which is the worst form of abuse? And you would be shocked at the responses. Oh God, it was emotional for most people. And then we just said playfully, oh producer, we do hope that this will be one of the topics that we will really talk about. And voila, here we are. So thank you first off to the producer for bringing this up. So the topic today is recognizing the indicators of emotional abuse, including verbal, non-verbal, and behavioral cues. Now, emotional abuse is a form of psychological manipulation that can be just as damaging as physical abuse. It involves a pattern of behavior where one person seeks to control, belittle, or humiliate another, often through verbal or non-verbal means. Now, this can include name-calling, constant criticism, gaslighting, isolation, and threats. In fact, emotional abuse can erode a person's self-worth, confidence, and identity, leading to anxiety, depression, and even physical health problems. Sarah's got more for you, but Sarah, one of the things we really focused on when we were talking about this topic was the erosion of self-worth. Which is something that can be lifelong for some people.
Right. Because most times when people are emotionally abused, they carry it on for a long time.
Yeah.
When you have conversations with some adults and you see how timid they are, they don't have self-confidence, they don't see themselves in the light of someone that is valuable, you find out that most of them went through some sort of emotional abuse while growing up. And if you're not able to deal with it very well, it would affect you for almost the rest of your life. So most people struggle with emotional abuse, whether consciously or unconsciously. In fact, most of the people that carry out this abuse sometimes don't know that they're emotionally abusing us, especially when it comes to our parents. Parents are also guilty of that.
Yeah.
Parents emotionally abuse their children. Now, sometimes they don't know that that's what they're doing, but we would tag it as, some sort of ignorance if we're going to look for excuses for them. But this has messed up the minds of children.
But some do know.
Some know.
Yeah.
And they do it intentionally. Some put the anger of their spouse on the
children.
child, especially if the partner is an absent partner. Maybe if the father left or the mother left, most of them pour that anger in form of emotional abuse on the children. Partners emotionally abuse their spouses. Siblings emotionally abuse their siblings. Friends emotionally abuse their friends. Lovers emotionally abuse their lovers.
Co-workers emotionally abuse their colleagues.
Bosses sometimes emotionally abuse their team members, their subordinates. So these things are very, very key, and that's why it's important that we talk about this.
Yeah.
Now, moving on, non-verbal cues of emotional abuse can just be as damaging as verbal ones. This can include condescending facial expressions, dismissive body language, and intrusive or controlling physical touch. I'd like to pause there. See, this thing about controlling physical touch is a very big deal, especially in the workplace. Some people experience some sort of abuse with the way some colleagues touch them, and they are not comfortable with it. They feel like, no, you're abusing me this way.
Or how some bosses, especially for the female, some are very uncomfortable with how the bosses touch them.
And so it's a conversation that is in-depth. Now, abusers may also use gestures like pointing, glaring, or looming to intimidate and belittle their victims. Additionally, ignoring or giving the silent treatment can be a powerful tool of emotional manipulation. You see that thing about silent treatment?
It's one of the worst forms of emotional abuse.
Honestly, because I believe that no matter what, don't give me the silent treatment. Don't ignore me. Don't shut me out. But when, especially if it's your family or a lover, it can mess your head. Imagine you are with your family, in a space with your family members, and there's an issue and someone is giving you silent treatment.
That kind of atmosphere is so thick you can cut it with a knife. I can't survive in that kind of place now.
Most times you wouldn't even want to be there, you just want to walk away. But let's move on. Furthermore, behavioral cues can also be indicative of emotional abuse, often reinforcing the non-verbal cues mentioned earlier. Now, these can include controlling behaviors like monitoring a person's activities, restricting access to resources, or making decisions on their behalf. You see this thing about monitoring the people's activities. I once heard a story of somebody that went as far as hacking her partner's phone just because she wanted to monitor. To what end?
That's an extreme one.
To what end? But abusers may also exhibit possessive behaviors such as constant texting or calling, showing up unexpectedly, or becoming overly dependent on the victim. Additionally, they may use financial manipulation, like withholding money or making the victim accountable for all expenses to exert control.
This thing about making decisions, you talked about it earlier on. You said making decisions on behalf of someone else. Let's link it to this last paragraph you just talked about finances. Popular celebrity Britney Spears was a victim where her dad was the one that made financial decisions for her. She had to take him to court to sever that ties so that she could make her own financial decisions.
Especially as an adult.
As an adult with her own family and her own kids, and she was making this money herself. You know, so there's all these subtle forms of emotional abuse. It must be dealt with, which, like you said, I'm so glad is what we are talking about today.
It's just like gaslighting. To me, yeah, that's like the highest form of emotional abuse. When you gaslight someone, you make the person always feel like he or she is the problem. At the slightest thing, even when the person is trying to communicate something to you, you flip the tables around and throw it back on the person. Okay, no, this is your fault. You shouldn't have done it this way. You should have done it this way. You make the person see themselves as a less. And you see, most times, the ones that we hold dear to our hearts are the ones that actually do this the most to us. They gaslight us. They make us feel like your feelings are invalid. Your thoughts don't matter. They don't count. You are not seen. That's another form of emotional abuse, when they make you feel like you're not seen, you're not heard, you're not appreciated.
Oh, gosh.
No matter what you do.
That means you're totally diminishing the person.
No matter what you do, I don't see you. I don't hear you. Why should I appreciate you?
That's a form of bullying, really.
So that's another, because if I constantly find myself in a space where I don't feel seen, I don't feel heard, I don't feel appreciated, I start to look down on myself. Now, it's also important to note that there's a thin line between emotional abuse and correction.
Oh yeah.
Some people, I'll use the workplace as an example. Some people do not do their job, or they're tacky at their job, or they're not they don't do the assignments that they're supposed to do. And you need to correct them. You need to point out the fact that this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And now it's important to also pay attention to how you correct them.
Yes.
Right? But in your process of correcting them, some people might start to feel, oh, you're attacking me, you're emotionally abusing me. They are not the same thing, because sometimes some people will say you're abusing me emotionally. Meanwhile, you're only trying to correct them to do what they're supposed to do. Even at home, you know, somebody's supposed to do something, somebody's responsible for something, and you're trying to draw the person's attention to it, and the person probably starts to say, like, why are you emotionally abusing?
So just like you said, the mode of correction matters, right? So if you're correcting somebody, how do you do it? Are you confrontational? Are you aggressive? Or I think what also comes to play is knowing the personality type. You know, who this person you're dealing with, what's his or her personality type? What's the best way to handle this kind of person? So I think a lot of psychology comes to play here.
It's a lot. It's not something we can just you know, cover up, but that's why we have Tomiwa Fadeyi on the line to, you know, dissect this headline with the little time we have left, you know, this morning. Good morning, Tomiwa Fadeyi. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Always, thank you. You know, we're talking about emotional abuse, you know, and behavioral cues. But to kickstart, let's take it from a legal aspect. How does the law define emotional abuse, and what are the key elements, you know, of emotional abuse before you can establish a case and say, yes, this is emotional abuse?
Well, emotional abuse takes several frontiers when it comes to the issue of law, when it comes to the legal profession generally, right? There are basically emotional abuse encompasses various behaviors that can cause or that are capable of causing psychological harm, and this includes verbal and non-verbal cues. And you see, recognizing emotional abuse, recognizing the forms of emotional abuse is very crucial for understanding, especially when it comes to the legal ramification of it, right? So, but any behavior really that any behavior that is based on causing psychological harm, emotional harm to a person, the key element here is that it extends beyond physical harm, the normal physical violence that everybody knows is actionable. Emotional abuse also in the law is actionable, but you have to establish that that abuse was actually caused. that it was deliberate.
All right, now just to let the viewer know, Tomiwa is a legal practitioner, so we are focusing on the legal aspect of emotional abuse. So Tomiwa, what are the most common legal issues that arise in cases involving emotional abuse in your practice, though, those cases you've handled?
Well, there's been a series of them. You see, in emotional abuse has both tortious and criminal liability. You get my point? And usually you realize that one of the most common actions under emotional abuse that comes under emotional abuse is actually defamation. It's actually defamation, both civil and criminal defamation, right? Many people actually, I don't want to use the word limit, but many people tailor emotional abuse to, when it comes to the actions under law, many people tailor it towards defamation. What you get is that if, for instance, you engage in the verbal part of emotional abuse against me, one of the remedies which are most likely to seek in Nigeria today is a remedy under defamation, to go to the court and say that, oh, this person has either slandered me or this person has committed, defamation is in broad terms divided into two: slander and then libel. Slander is the spoken one, libel is the written one. So you go to court and you say, this person has, especially because most forms of emotional abuse, you remember that I said earlier that it has to do with many, actually come under the verbal aspect of it, right? It actually comes under that. So what you get is that people go to action these abuses under defamation. They go to court and say, look, I've been defamed, this person said this against me and it's not true, and then I want to draw an action from that. So basically that's one of the most common one. One that is not common is intentional infliction of emotional distress, right? And these arises when intentional infliction of emotional distress, and these arises when the abuser's conduct is outrageous and intentionally causes emotional distress. When your action is outrageous, when it causes limits, is that the plaintiff, the person who is seeking a remedy under the law, must show that emotional distress was actually substantial, that it was extreme and substantial. So that when you go under criminal law, you get issues like harassment, like stalking. I think those are the most common ones. So it's actually actionable both in torts and in criminal law.
Alright, because of our time, right? Unlike the physical abuse where you can provide evidence, injury, damage to your body, or the sexual abuse where you have something to show that, okay, yes, I was sexually abused. Talking about emotional abuse, how would you advise your client to document instances, or what's that word, when you have proof, evidence, to document it for emotional cases for potential legal action?
Well, the thing about cases about law is that each case will be determined on the circumstances of that particular case. You get, no two cases circumstantially are one and the same in total, hook, line and sinker. But what I have said earlier is that most forms of emotional abuse actually involve verbal abuse. Most forms actually involve verbal abuse. There are various ways to document those. And another thing I must comment on is that law is not law. Evidence is actually the salient point of law, right? But there are various types of evidence. Evidence is not just when you compile large documents and bring them to court and all of those. When you talk about the testimony of witnesses, that is also a form of evidence, right? The Miwa evidence of witnesses, as long as it is unassailable, as long as it corroborates each other, and as long as the court can be satisfied that they are saying the truth, right? So if I have 2-3 witnesses that are coming to say the same thing, the court will weigh my own evidence on an imaginary scale. That's what the law says. And whichever way the scale tilts, that scale is hard facts and evidence. So it's not until I compile, depending on the circumstances of the case, really, it's not until I compile large files of documents before you can now say that I have given proper evidence before the court.
All right, that's a very good answer. Thank you. So, as we wrap this up, what legal remedies are available to victims of emotional abuse, and what are the challenges in pursuing these remedies?
Well, from what I said earlier, you can know that some of the legal remedies will be torture and some will be criminal in nature. You know, people can actually really get imprisoned. I think that's what I should say. People can actually get imprisoned for those things. You realize that states like Lagos State, I like to use Lagos State as an example when it comes to things like this, because Lagos State is actually, you know, setting the pace for other states when it comes to domestication of laws, you know, domestication of laws regarding emotional or regarding abuse generally, which covers for emotional abuse and all of those. And one of the laws that you have in Lagos State is actually the Lagos State Protection Against Domestic Violence Law. I think that was enacted in 2007. Yeah, I think that was enacted in 2007. And that law actually makes provision. There are many other laws that I may not be able to say on top of my head, but I know that one of the most popular ones is the VAP law, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, right? It's one of the most common, you know, laws that we have. Those laws actually provide for the remedies that are available for, we like all them victims under abuse generally. You know? So there are several of them. It could be remedies in form of damages. It could be remedies in form of injunctions. It could be remedies in form of imprisonment.
Ouch. You know, the network is also quite unfriendly, and I think it's a safe place to land with Tomiwa this morning, because our time is fast spent. Tomiwa Fadeyi, thank you so much for joining us. We have to wrap up the conversation now. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. You know, it's a very broad topic, and it's not something that we can exhaust in one session. 15 minutes.
In fact, one of the questions, the last question I asked him was Hydra-headed. I'd asked if there are challenges that confront pursuing these remedies to this emotional abuse. Maybe when
easily accessible.
Yeah, so probably when we have them again, we'll have him talk about it.
Right. So that's not the end of this conversation. We'll definitely pick it up, and as that's also not the end of the show, we're going to give you our trending story for today.
Okay.
Ọ̀dọ̀ yín gan. Kọ́tà àmàkáyà òwúrọ̀ tó ń dá mú.
He went. He's my partner here. So he went to steal someone's phone. He went to steal someone's phone in his pocket on his way going on road. So I'm the bike man that carry him. So the person he stole his phone before now saw his face. He recognized his face. So he went to go and call his brothers and hijack him. That is the one that stole his phone. Like few days ago, a few months ago, I don't know. So they arrest him to the station. So I go home to go and make reports that they have catch Opeyemi at my back.
Ohun tó gbé mi débi ni wípé a máa ń fi ènìyàn ṣe ètùtù ọ̀la. Àwọn tó bá dọ̀tí ń kú lára pààtì wọn a máa ń tà. Náà kò kí ṣe èmi ò fọ́yàn lórí mi lè ṣáà rádàrí, but ilé mi ni wọ́n ti máa ń ṣe. Ara àwọn tá a jọ ń ṣe ò ní Ahmed, but àwọn ọlọ́pàá ètò ìròmú wọn ní kán jẹ́ ká lọ mọ̀ ó ń gbé ọjọ́ àwọn adájọ́ ṣe ni Kùráìsì Yakub Aríkóyè ló ń gbé bàbá ẹ̀ ní ìmọ̀.
right. What you just saw was a suspected ritualist who sells human parts, or who was selling human parts, because he's been caught. Just a little background. Suspected ritualist Mohammed Adekunle has been arrested for allegedly conspiring with others to kill and sell human parts of Malik Karim to a trader at a popular market in Ibadan. What gets me is they are selling it, or they were selling
70,000.
Gosh. There is no respect for the human anymore. You sell human parts for 70,000 naira. Money. This is what money has reduced humans to. I can't even talk about it, Sarah. It's so emotional.
Right. It's quite a very disturbing one, I must say. But according to reports, he has people that he also, conspires with. So we hope that he would lead the channel to also get these people, and will be nipping this thing of selling human parts, kidnapping
in the bud.
We'll be gradually nipping it in the bud, and kudos to the police as well for their job. But that's it on our trending story for today. Let's give you weather forecast. The weather forecast is an indication that we have gradually come to the end of the show. We hope that you were able to pick the weather forecast for your location today. Seems like it's going to be a wet and rainy Wednesday in Lagos, Nigeria. On that note, we've come to the end of the show. Major thanks to our guest, Tomiwa Fadeyi, for joining us. Major thanks to all of you for staying with us, for sending your comments, and for calling. We saw that you were really trying to call, but we hope that the network will be better tomorrow. And major thanks to everyone that made the show a success, those behind the scene. Thank you so much. Remember that you can follow us across all our social media platforms at High Impact Studios, High Impact TV, The Breakfast Cafe. You can also stream live on Twitter, which is now X, Facebook, and YouTube at High Impact Studios. I am Sarah Owusu-Ansah. Ensure to have yourself a fantastic Wednesday.
All right. Also to say thanks to all the guys behind the scene. And if you liked the show, guys, why don't you keep it with us again? Same time, same station. Until then, I am Vivian Oguche, and have yourself a fantastic day ahead. Bye.
Mesopotamian region about 4,500 years ago were the first in recorded history to leave evidence of wearing bracelets, including ankle bracelets. Unheard Sumerian graves show that this civilization wore finger rings, toe rings, and necklaces, and it is believed that the wearing of jewelry by wife showed how wealthy her husband was. The rich and the poor of ancient Egypt also contributed to the proliferation of the anklet, as they both enjoyed wearing this jewelry. Egyptian royalty wore anklets made of precious stones and metals, while the poorer people wore anklet bracelets that were inexpensive and may even be used to display amulet or lucky talisman. Later centuries will call this piece of jewelry charm bracelets. Famous among the earliest users of the anklets is the ancient Indians. The Indians have worn anklet bracelet for centuries, and their love for these jewelries even instilled in their literature. Today, Indians' wedding custom still include wearing anklet bracelets as part of the ceremonial wedding garments. Indian women wear some of the most extravagant anklets in the world, featuring lots of tiny chains, bells, and charms. Much as the wedding ring is usually worn on the left ring finger, that way